Hello, I'm Christine with Teen Driving Solutions School, and I'm here today with Jason and his son Daniel, who have attended the clinics that Teen Driving Solutions carries out, and they're going to share some insights into what they've learned through the clinic and their experience with it, and why it's been valuable enough to them that they're actually going for a second time in a couple of weeks here. So, welcome,
Yeah.
Daniel and Jason. Thank you so much for being
Yes.
here.
Good morning,
So,
Christine.
Good morning.
yeah, good morning. So let's talk about the experience you had at the clinic and in Daniel's situation. It seems like there was a case of maybe being a little overconfident in his skills versus what he really was capable of doing at the time. So, going from that perspective, how did you feel, first of all, Daniel, going to the clinic? Were you excited
So
about
when I
it?
first,
Were you not excited about it? Did you think, oh my God, what did my dad sign me up for?
I didn't really know what to expect. He told me some things and I watched some videos and I was very excited. I'm just ready to learn. And when I got there, there was a lot going on, but I feel like I really learned a lot. And I feel like, when I got there, I was, just ready to learn.
Okay, so when you're thinking about what you learned, what was the most valuable piece and also the most fun part of the clinic for you?
I say the most valuable piece is probably learning that the roads are sometimes dangerous and that anything can happen at any time and that even with the best drivers it can get away from you in less than a second and just how important it is to drive safe and to get home. And I feel like the most fun thing was probably the skid car, but yeah.
And what was that like for you, the skid car?
Skid car was learning how to control the vehicle, and I think it was just really cool because I always, have seen it. And in some ways, I kind of wanted to learn how to do that. And I feel like I got the opportunity to. And it was really fun to learn how to work through that and how to, control the vehicle when it gets out of control.
So do you feel that having that hands-on experience in the skid car was really different from what you probably learned in the driver's education class that you had taken to get your learner's permit?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, kind of a night and day difference, huh?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's right.
Jason, what do you think was the most valuable part for yourself and for Daniel going through the clinic?
I think for herself is Dan does the parents are highly involved while we're there. So just like the parents class was big for me. Just Dan talking about some statistics and where things can go wrong and how fast they can go wrong. So that was very enlightening. And I think just kind of seeing him, like you get a ride with him at the end of the day, just seeing some improvements just over the couple days that were there was big. And then just have a solid, correct foundation to build upon as we go home and practice at home, and just not necessarily teaching them bad habits. So Dan definitely helps to kind of get that solid foundation set for future growth there.
Right. Now, going to the clinic is a pretty big time commitment. It's an effort commitment. It's an entire weekend and it's a commitment of your money. So,
Right.
what motivated you to make that investment in your son and his safety?
So just just seeing the like on the news with the teenage crashes or different things that happen with the young new drivers, and just knowing like me, taking them to Walmart is, teaching them, hey, stop here, turn here, probably wasn't going to be enough that I felt like he needed to stay safe nowadays. So I know, North Carolina has a different licensing program than when I grew up on the West Coast. So like they're trying to make it safer for the kids and just kind of wanted some, out of the street environment in a controlled environment where they can get a little loose with the vehicles and get them back versus the first time he drops a wheel off the road, really don't want it to be, with a oncoming car. So that was big to me that what team driving provides where they can get loose in the vehicle. It's a controlled environment, instructors right there, and they can feel that and learn from that. Where the first time they feel it, they're not going to panic if there's a lot going on with on the main road.
And so you guys went through the clinic once already, and you're going back in like a
Yes,
week. So
yes,
what was, I mean, that says a lot about the quality of instruction and the people who are there at the clinic. So I'd love to hear both of your reasonings why you feel it's worthwhile to go back and make that investment of
yeah, of
time, money,
course.
and effort again.
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, so I feel like, going back again would just give me more experience and, just to keep it fresh in my mind. And I feel like I always need to have it, fresh in my mind. But I think that if I go back, just to have that again, just to learn again, some things that may have gotten away from me. And I think just to be there again and just to feel safe and just to have that constant reminder of, just to stay safe and just to go over the things that I probably need to go over. And I feel like I think that'd be a big reason.
Mhm.
And I think to piggyback off that, to kind of reinforce what he learned the first time. Like there's it's very structured, very controlled, but there's a lot of information going on for those 2 days. He had, I think when he got there, around 25, maybe 30 hours logged on his permit. So now he has his license now. He's driven a little bit more. So just to kind of go back and like hit those things that he might have forgotten where he got, caught up in, I got to pass a test type thing. Because I think, Dan does a lot where like, it's above and beyond passing the test. Like it's to keep you safe, to get you home. So I think that's where we wanted. And then the parent portion is huge. I really enjoyed that. And my wife wasn't able to come the first time we went. So we're both going back. So she's going to get to see the parent portion of it too. So that was another reason that we wanted to go back. And we have a daughter that is 13 now. So she'll be heading up there in a year or so. So
Mhm.
once she gets her permit. So yeah.
And one of the things you had mentioned before we hit record was Dan Wagner's passion
Yeah.
for the mission of saving lives and especially teen driver lives. Because I'll tell you, having gone through it with my son, it's like you hear about fatalities or accidents, but
Sure.
to really understand the scope of what's going on, it's so much more of a huge problem. There's so many more people dying on the road than I think the average person is aware of. And Dan is incredibly committed, and so are the volunteer people who,
Yes.
I mean, you have to be if you're coming up there to volunteer your time. You
Right.
have to be passionate about that, and that comes through in the level of care that they show
Uh,
and
yeah.
commitment towards each person.
That comes through very fast with Dan. Just listen to him talk. The guy cares about what he's doing. He's passionate. He's got the knowledge to help, correct this where, to help these kids get safely home. At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. And Dan is definitely went above and beyond um, doing that. And that comes through talking with him very quickly.
Hmm.
So that was another thing, take away the driving stuff and the fun stuff and the skid car and all that stuff. Like you got somebody up there that's passionate about it. It changes the dynamic also.
Right. Absolutely. And Daniel, I'm curious now that you've gone through the clinic once and you've had these extra hours of driving under your belt, when you're around your friends or around other students at school, do certain things, like if they stood out to you about how maybe your mindset is different than some of your friends, or what have you noticed just kind of in the teen driving culture where you are that maybe you didn't notice before?
I think that my friends really don't maybe think about it as much as I do about, getting home. I think they go out on the road and, they just, plan on having a good time. And it's just like, the expectation that you'll get home. And that's not always true. And it's not. And I definitely pray for them and hope that, they do get home safe. And I try to talk to them as much as I can, hey man, when you're out on the road, just make sure you're safe. I learned how to do this and this at this really cool place I went to. Um, and I think that's one big thing for me that I've tried to talk to them. I feel like I'm not trying to, make it sound like I'm better, but I'm saying that I think my mindset is more in the place where I try to be more safe than they are.
Hmm? It's just a different level of awareness, I think. It's the
Right.
difference between being aware of information and having gone through the clinic and the behind the wheel exercises that you do and feeling that stress and adrenaline of, what a real, or semi,
Right.
real skidding out and spinning out feels like versus not having done it. I don't think that
Right.
you can't really replace that with book learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to replicate even on the streets. So that's why I think with Dan up at VIR, it's big to get controlled environment, get a little squirrely, and get that. Even the butterflies in your stomach when it gets a little squirrely on you. It's not. I think the first time for that is not with the car behind you, an oncoming car, foggy on the road, like just trying to not have that be the first time that he loses control of it or spins out or something that he can, okay, here's what I got to do type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can tell you from my own personal experience in my life when I unfortunately did have a spin out many, many years ago on a rainy night going over an overpass in a friend's
Mm.
car, which had bald tires because her dad
Yeah.
didn't want to replace the tires.
And Dan talks
Um,
about maintenance also.
yes, yeah, and how important it is the adrenaline rush that comes after
Right.
is something that I think most people are not aware of because, at least my experience, while it's happening, it's almost surreal and you're reacting, trying to correct the situation. But what I found, it's unfortunately happened a couple of times, rainy situation,
Mm-hmm.
dark, both times. And the adrenaline is pumping so much that like my body was shaking and my leg was shaking so hard I was having trouble trying to get the car to go to push the accelerator because
Oh,
my
wow.
body was shaking so violently. And it wasn't a thought I was having, it was the adrenaline, that
Right.
I could to get the car going again and get out of the way of oncoming traffic was challenging. So that's,
Right.
something else that I think you don't get from a driver's edge training is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
at least a glimpse into how your body could react to a situation where you feel out of control. And you
Right.
get that at Team Driving
And you do get
Solutions.
that. And you can think you're going to react away, but you don't know until it happens.
Right.
I mean, you'd be like, I'll be fine. Like, yeah, but yeah, you got to experience it.
Great. Yes. So, are there any last thoughts that you would say to people who are watching this, to parents and teen drivers who are considering whether or not this is really, something that they want to do that's worth their time and money and effort? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say um, yeah, hands over feet. It's definitely worth the investment into that weekend with Dan. The parent side of it is huge. I know there's other driving schools where we kind of drop the kids off and then you pick them up later, but I mean, you're there, you're getting instruction, and and they go over what they're telling the kids. So when you get home and Daniel says, "No, they told me to do this," you're like, "No, they went over the exact same thing." So like you get that involvement, and it just I don't even believe Dan does the class if the parent isn't there. So it's a very combined effort where everybody's involved, and no, we had a really good time, and we're looking forward to heading back and hopefully see some improvement and keep moving forward.
I feel like for me, just I mean, just talking to people, I feel like it just makes me feel safer on the road. I know it makes, my parents feel safer on the road, and just knowing that this just helps so much. And just I mean the experience I got, and I feel like you have to be uncomfortable to become comfortable, if that makes sense. Not just, hey, I mean, I watched a video about this when this happens. Let me, just try to remember that. I feel like you have to go through it, with the school to learn how to, go through that. And I feel like, getting home is just, the most important thing. And yeah, I mean, I feel like it really benefits in a whole lot of ways.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives, sharing your insights into what it's like to go through the clinic and really the big why behind doing it. And for
Yeah.
those of you watching, I encourage you to find out more about Teen Driving Solutions School at teendrivingsolutions.org and how to support their mission, their larger mission of saving lives. And really, that's what it's all about. So thank you so much, and we'll see you
Yes.
soon.
Thank you, Christine.